All right.
Our thoughts and our prayers in Rhode Island, in Australia. Family. And now I'd like to turn it over to the chief.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Board of Select Board Chairman, Town Administrator, family, and friends who have gathered here tonight to witness the swearing-in of the three most recent recruits to Whitman Fire Rescue. All three members were hired off the civil service list. All three members are paramedics, and all three members have attended the Massachusetts Firefighting Academy and graduated, as well as they've all completed their 1 year of probation per civil service rules. One thing to keep in mind by these members of joining Whitman Fire Rescue, they've made a commitment to this town to work with the new regulations for this community for the next 34 years, which doesn't seem very long when you're in your 20s, but I'll warn you, it's a long time. I hope that they continue the tradition to protect the citizens and serve the community for as long as they're members of the department. The first person, Jacob Jake Smith, was hired on 2/26 of 24. As I said, he's a paramedic. He completed the Massachusetts Fire Academy. Tonight he's joined by his wife Ashley, his parents John and Janelle, his brothers Logan and sister Allie. Jake comes from a family of community service. His father's a sergeant in East Bridgewater PD. See us someplace. His uncle, Lieutenant Bob Pulver, is in the crowd. A longtime member of Whitman Fire Rescue. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention his grandfather, Fred Small, was an active member of this community for many years in so many aspects. I don't think I could list them all, but he was a very active member. He's carried on that tradition. He's assigned to Group 1 under the guidance of Lieutenant Brian Smith, and he's already proven himself to be a valued member of our department. Jake. Next, Matthew Bush Jr. See where this is going. Matt was hired 8/19 of 2024. He's a paramedic. He also successfully completed the Massachusetts Firefighting Academy and his probationary period. Matt is joined by his parents, Matt, Kristen, sister Melanie, and brother Colin. Matt is what I consider a legacy hire. Matt's dad is a senior man of the fire department currently and was one of the original paramedics. And it's safe to say Matt has been around the fire station his entire life. It was truly great to see him follow in the steps and carry on a time-honored tradition of being a firefighter paramedic. Matt is assigned to Group 4 under the guidance of Lieutenant Travers. Stephen Bagley III, hired 10/28/24 as a paramedic, also has completed the academy and his probationary period. Stephen has a bachelor's in science with a focus on paramedicine from the University of New Haven. On a side note, he is an Eagle Scout. And tonight he's joined by his parents, Stephen, Denise, his brother William, and sister Caitlin. And one thing about them is they all developed plans to become a firefighter. They chose this path. They laid out a plan, whether it was through hanging out at the fire station or coming through an internship and seeing what we do to see how it played out, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And they all chose to move forward with that profession. And today I am honored to bring them forward. They've already made a substantial impact to this department and will continue to do so for years. I just want to be the first to officially introduce them to the Select Board, Town Administrator, friends and family. Here are your three newest firefighters. At this time, I'll ask the town clerk to come up and administer the oath, and then we'll have the official pinning afterwards.
Hello, how are you? Good. I met him, I just have to tell Booster, I don't know if you can hear me, but on November 4th at the presidential election, when you don't think that, I kept meaning to give him a citation and I never did, but shame on me. He came in to vote, precinct 1. He's in line voting 5 minutes before 8 o'clock. Polls close at 8. And we had a medical emergency in precinct 4. And one of my poll workers actually probably he saved his life. I can tell you that right now. The gentleman told me, I don't feel well. I said, sit down. Little did I know, 2 seconds later, he was on the floor. And this man basically went over and performed what I think was life-saving measures. He went out to the ambulance with the gentleman. We held the election up. We held his ballot. It was after 8 o'clock. Punish me, I don't care. He comes back in to vote, and the warden from precinct 2 falls and breaks his hip. No lie. Again, he doesn't get to vote. He's called upon. He does his duties. How many days in were you? 4, 5? Something like that. But he was in civilian clothes, so he could have just walked away, and he didn't. And we did save his ballot, and he voted, and everything. It was a happy ending. So I never got to publicly thank him, so I wanted to thank him for that. And I know the rest of you will be doing, or have already done life-saving measures like that, and thank you very much. All right, so you ready? You're going to raise your right hand, and you're going to repeat after me, please. I state your name.
I, James Bush,
Promise to uphold the Constitution of the United States,
promise to uphold the Constitution of the United States,
the laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts,
the laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts,
and the bylaws of the town of Whitman.
and the bylaws of the town of Whitman.
I promise to bring to my profession
I promise to bring to my profession
a standard of quality and integrity,
a standard of quality and integrity,
so that the conduct of my affairs
so that the conduct of my affairs
of my office
of my office
shall be above reproach,
shall be above reproach,
and merit public confidence
and merit public confidence
in the position of firefighter paramedic
in the position of firefighter paramedic
on the Whitman Fire Department.
on the Whitman Fire Department.
I promise to uphold such laws and bylaws
I promise to uphold such laws and bylaws
to which the office of firefighter paramedic
to which the office of firefighter paramedic
may be subject.
may be subject.
I state your name,
I, James Bush, Jr.,
do solemnly swear and affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will perform the duties incumbent upon me
that I will perform the duties incumbent upon me
as a firefighter paramedic for the town of Whitman
as firefighter paramedic of the town of Whitman,
in good faith
in good faith
and to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
At this time, Jake will be pinned by his wife, Ashley, if Ashley can come forward. Give her up. Give her up. At this time, Matt will be pinned by his mother, Kristen. And I guess his father's coming too.
That's all right.
Yeah, that's fine. At this time, Stephen will be pinned by his parents, Stephen and Denise. Once again, thank you for everybody coming tonight. It's very appreciative. I love these ceremonies. And it's truly an honor to welcome 3 young, vibrant firefighter paramedics to the department. So thank you and have a good night.
I guess we can open the meeting, or we continue the meeting. This meeting is being recorded and televised by WHCA. Could I have a motion to approve bill and payroll warrants?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion to accept correspondence in the read file?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Public forum, is there anyone here who would like to speak on something that's not on the agenda? Yes.
Bob Kimball, 877 Auburnville Way. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, and the town administrator. I just want to say that you've done a great job this year, in the calendar year. It's been a difficult year for you, and I appreciate all the work that you've been doing. I may not always agree with you, but I think the majority of you are doing what's best for the community, and I appreciate that. One thing that I've noticed is on the website, you posted the open position for the assessor, and you posted the hours of town meeting, the town hall, and that was very good. I was here a few weeks ago, and I asked about the potential of putting a public hearing on the website. Right now, the only place that we see it is in the meeting agendas, and those don't get posted until, like the one for the selectmen got just posted on Thursday, I believe it was. We have a public hearing tonight. The only way to find out if there's a public hearing is to look at the bulletin board downstairs. So if there's something you could do to get the public hearings on the website under, like you did for the tax the assessor's office, I'd appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, it's a little past 6:45, so it's time for a joint meeting with the Board of Assessors to fill a vacancy on said board. So Heidi, you're the Board of Assessors. Would you like
Yeah, and Christine's
Chris is here. Would you like to come up and sort of like just push the Finance Committee out of the way?
No, I'm fine. They're fine. Chair. Okay. So,
Heidi, the floor is all yours.
okay, we have one candidate that has an interest in being on the Board of Assessors and being appointed. She isn't here tonight because her family has that terrible stomach bug thing, and it's like, don't come. So I just, her name is Brittany Cavallo. I think she would be a great addition to the board. She's very smart. She's very reliable. I think she'd just do great. She's familiar with real estate and values, so that would definitely be an asset to the town. And I think it would be really, she would be great.
So you would recommend that we appoint her?
Yes, I'm recommending that you appoint
Someone
Brittany
like to
Cavallo.
move that we appoint her, yes.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Does anyone have any questions of Heidi about the appointment?
No, trust her. Ready.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Right, we have a member of the board.
Yay,
Heidi, thank you very much.
thank you.
Yep.
It's not 7:05 yet. So why don't we do you have other people that are coming, do you think?
Possibly unlikely.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can go through some stuff before we do the joint meeting. We can try to go through some things. Okay, I don't really have anything to add tonight. Not really. It's just something that's been on my mind, and I don't know if I should share it or not. But we've had some disagreements in the last couple of meetings amongst people, and at times they've gotten a little bit tense. But when we compare them to what's going on way above our heads, and the rhetoric that we hear from the federal government, what we try to do at this level is to be as cordial and as kind as we can be with each other, even when we disagree. And hopefully we can keep it that way and not be encouraged to be mean and nasty, as sometimes we hear from people way above us. And I guess that's all I really would like to say about that, except it's discouraging to hear our leaders talk about each other in the way that they've been just carrying on their discourse. And if we can try to keep our discourse civilized, I think we can get through the difficult times that we had, and we have. We're having difficult times right now, trying to manage our budget. And if we can see on different sides of our issues that there's kindness involved in almost everything that we try to do, whether we agree or not, or whether we have the resources to do what we would like to do or not. I think that we can get through a very tough year without being nasty about each other, if we can just do that. And I know that Laura hears every single word that I'm saying and agrees with it.
But I actually want to add something about the Conley School that I didn't get to add, and that was a great preface for it. So could I add that?
I guess.
I wanted to say sooner, so my apologies to the Conley School kids, but they had a fundraiser, as they do every year, for the shelter, Pennies for Paws, and they raised a significant amount of money, over $600 as a matter of fact, so that is always appreciated. But my if you want to call it, because I never do a speech, but my speech to them was exactly that, being kind, and that their school, and many schools, but their school I attend every year, twice a year for these events, and it always touches me. I always cry, of course, because they really hit home at kindness. And I told them that out of any lesson in life that they will ever learn, kindness is the most important lesson. And I just thought it was beautiful that you brought that up.
Oh, thank you.
And thank you to the Conley School kids.
Okay. Let's see if we can act on the request under new business. Act on the request of the building commissioner, James Ewell, to declare a 2009 Chevrolet Tahoe VIN number, need my glasses for this, IGNFKO 3019R123659 as surplus material to be disposed of by public auction or by other means of disposal if there is no value. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Vote to accept the resignation of John Galvin from the Whitman Aid to the Elderly and Disabled Taxation Committee effective December 3rd, 2025, in order to start a Friends of the Elderly and Disabled nonprofit fundraising organization. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second, and yes,
Mr. Galvin, would you like to speak?
Alvin, 41 High Street. I just wanted to, he did mention why I was resigning. Right now, the committee, we've been meeting since April. We're in very good shape. We've got everything all set up. We've got the application all set up. We just need money. We don't have any money. We're not going to start taking any applications until the fiscal 27 year because of that reason. And we found out that the hard way that members of the committee cannot fundraise. So my objective is to resign from the committee to start this nonprofit group so that we can raise money. I have 4 very good people with me right now. I do need a 5th. One of the things that we discovered in creating a nonprofit in Massachusetts, that the nonprofit needs to be operated by 51% of, and it has to have people in the following designations, and that's a veteran, a woman, or a minority. Right now, we're 2 men and 2 women, so we're 50%. So we need one more person who would fall into that one of those 3 categories. So we're looking for that, and we'll start the beginning of January with the nonprofit. So
Thank you very much, Joe. Thank you. All those in favor of the motion?
okay.
I'd like to announce a citizen volunteer vacancy on the Whitman Aid to the Elderly and Disabled Taxation Committee. Just did. Open Space Committee 2025 Impact Award.
Yes. So at their annual summit held on December 2nd, the Old Colony Planning Council recognized the steering committee of the Open Space and Recreation Plan with a 2025 Impact Award for their work with OCPC in drafting an updated Open Space and Recreation Plan. Whitman Steering Committee also received a certificate of special professional recognition by William R. Keating and an official citation by the Massachusetts State Senate. Steering Committee member Ed Winnett was present to accept the award for the town. I believe you were there as well, Dan. Other members of the steering committee are Leanne McKenzie as a representative from the Conservation Commission, Ryan Tully as a representative from the Recreation Commission, Brandon Griffin as a representative from the Planning Board, and Bruce Martin as a representative of the DPW. And Ed Winnett is here to address the select board. Did you want to say anything, Ed, on? Sure. Congratulations.
Should have brought the trophy.
We have here also as well. So we're really excited to receive this award, and really surprised by the ceremony that the OCPC provided. And when we think about this award, it was really a team effort, right? It wasn't just us. It included other town departments. It included Jason DeRosa, and without his leadership, today may not have happened, and as well as his staff. And so our feeling is that it doesn't really belong to us. It really belongs to the town, and it's more appropriate for it to be at the town hall. So we'd like it to present it to you guys, and hopefully, it could be hung downstairs, maybe in the lower town hall. But we really appreciate your commitment as well to open space. The plan is in to the state for approval, and the next chapter is where the rubber meets the road. And so your continued support is appreciated, and we're excited to get going on it. We're already trying to get going on it. But it was definitely a privilege to serve on the committee. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations.
It's very generous of you. Thank you.
It's a good place.
Yes.
Next item is to act on the recommendation of Chief Hanlon to appoint Thomas Keating to the position of Auxiliary Special Police Officer through June 30th, 2026. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
And we'll save the review and act on the January 12th, 2026 special town meeting warrant for later, and set the meeting schedule for later. And I guess now we whistle Dixie for 5 minutes. Unless anyone from the Mass Electric Company here?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
So actually, Lori was waiting at the admin assistant, of course, downstairs in the select board's office for the check that we have to receive for these hearings. And she notified Mass Electric that we hadn't received it. It came in the mail today. So I'm not sure that anybody is here this evening. I did review the letters that she sent out.
Right.
It didn't say that they were required to be present.
Okay.
So I believe that we certainly can go ahead now that we do have the funds and vote on that item.
Oh, the pub,
Oh, I'm sorry.
what?
What were you just?
We're supposed to be a public hearing with the petition of Mass Electric doing business as National Grid to install a pole.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Maybe in 5 minutes, we'll see if somebody's here. But
All right.
a holdup was that the funds weren't received, and the funds actually did come in today. So Lori thought that maybe even if somebody weren't here, that we may be able to vote on that.
Oh, so we wait for 5 minutes? Is that what
They
we're
could
gonna
show
do?
up, but I think it's unlikely.
Could talk about
Kathy,
the
what do you
Corthell-
think? Pardon?
Could talk about the Corthell building.
We could. Old business, Corthell Building, Head Start School.
Yes. So the Corthell building is now vacant, where they held the Head Start school. So at this point, the building has been winterized. Our facilities director has been in, has secured the building. But I think that the town needs to make a decision whether we want to sell this property, whether we want to lease this property, whether we want to use this property for a town use, such as a COA. There definitely would be some work that would need to be put into the building. So those are our options at this time for the Fourth L building, but I think it's important that we do make a decision sooner rather than later on that property. I did pull the property record card here, and this is $1 million. It's saying $1,108,600, but that's on the assessor's side. So I would think, knowing for just what a ranch or a house goes for in Whitman, I would think probably between $1 million and $2 million dollars based on the valuation. So that's something that I think the board does need to discuss and see how everyone feels and in which direction they'd like to move.
Okay, thoughts?
I have a question. Did they owe some money to us? Have we recouped that yet? And if we sell it, do we still
$1 a
pursue
year.
that?
$1
It's
a year.
$1 a year?
Yeah.
Oh, they got a bargain.
Yeah.
Sell it.
But they did a lot, there was a lot of service done to children over the course of the,
Oh, 100%. Some of my children and my relatives went.
right?
But I thought it was substantial. $1 a year is not substantial.
No.
Sean,
Sean?
My initial thought is I would like to see at least. I don't love the idea of selling property right now, especially for relatively short money. I know leasing can be a little bit tricky, but if there's a way that we can partner with the schools and maybe lease out to like a program, I know they lease off into like North River Collaborative, so like another school district that would rent some classrooms. They kind of would keep up the property as, for the next maybe 5 years until we get past some of our most difficult fiscal times, and then we could kind of reassess whether we want to potentially use it for the town or work it into a bigger plan. But that's my initial thought.
I had someone come approach me on an idea that if we were to sell that building, and say we sell it for $2 million, right? Because it's in a beautiful area, right? Even, and it's good size. Someone could probably turn it into apartment buildings if they want, but whatever. If we were to sell it for that amount of money, we could take half of that money and deal with the Park Ave school, which we've had an issue with, and have, and if we have to tear it down, we'll have the money to do that. And with the other $1 million, if it only costs $1 million to do the Park Ave school, the other $1 million, maybe renovate something for a larger senior center or something like that. But I think two issues, we've been sitting on the Park Ave school for so long that it's not doing anything, but kids are just probably breaking in and just, doing what they do. And if we can get rid of that, knock it down, or renovate it, it depends on what's the best option and the cheapest. You got a lot of land there for park, for a park area, down below. Recreation can maybe use it or whatever, but selling that and getting is a couple of million, we would solve the Park Ave school issue and get that, because it's just sitting there doing nothing.
And that is an item that's going to be on a future meeting very shortly, the Park Avenue School. Now, we haven't had realtors or anybody give us an estimate or anything on that, so I'm not sure 2 million is,
Right.
The number for sure. But it's something that I think we need to consider. I did speak with the Maya representative for the town for our insurances, and he said we need to let him know whether we're selling it or whether we're leasing it or whether we're keeping it. And he said if we were to lease it, do we want to be tenants, number one, and landlords, and number two, you'd want to maybe look at what's called triple net lease, which is very involved, but it's where the person who's leasing the building pays all costs. All costs. So he said he would suggest that if we do lease it, to look into a triple net lease. But otherwise, any thoughts on keeping it for right now? Of course, yes, keep it for the town, but do we have the money to do anything for a new building?
Carl, if I may, my initial thought was to see if the COA director was interested in expanding space over there. You could potentially turn that front playground into a parking lot, get additional space, something they're lacking over at the senior center. Have you talked to Mary Holland at all to see if that was a potentially viable building for
I
them?
did talk to Mary Holland. I also, Kathy and I walked the property with the facilities director. I mean, there is a lot of space on that first floor. There are big rooms, there are a lot of offices, there are several restrooms there. It is a nice old building, but it does need work. It does need some money. It needs upkeep. So Mary initially really wasn't that interested. Would have to, I think she went over as well and took a look at it with Todd. So that is an option. Of course, if we went in that direction, we'd be looking to sell the COA building, you know.
And probably need all of the proceeds
We
to
would need, I
renovate
think,
that.
all of it.
Yeah.
The elevator, everything. We would need all of that.
But then I guess so if that were a viable permanent solution for them, really, because you wouldn't want to invest a couple $100,000 in the Corthell building if it's not the long-term senior center, community center, you know, move rec and veterans over there. If that's not a viable option, I guess, so that's really the open question, then I think we probably don't want to be landlords in that situation. In that case, yeah, look to sell it. And yeah, either maybe save some for the Park Ave school, although I think that we can't do anything to the Park Ave school until this board makes a decision, asks our lawyers to appeal to land court to get us to be able to do anything to the Park Ave school. That's not sell it for education funds.
You know, the Park Ave school, the issue is that it could be hazardous to the town residents, and they have to look at that.
If we touch it, we could lose it though.
Yeah, so. We'll lose it to who?
Lot more than
The owners, they're not around
Still
there.
yours, yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It would be just sitting on it for 15 years,
Yeah.
you know, if not longer.
Wasn't there a gentleman that had an idea? I might have to research it because it was a while ago. Maybe you remember. There was a gentleman that had an idea. He wanted to buy it. I wonder if he's still interested. It's been a while. So I think we're so broke we should sell as much as we can and then work on.
It wouldn't be a bad idea to sell the Corthell building for
Right.
the capital fund and get our accounting software and fire engine.
But you don't want to use one-time money to
Right.
solve the issue. That's the problem.
Yeah, I think just to balance that out, Laura, the 25 years from now, when we look back at this time, we'll go through we're going to go through 5 hard years for sure. But in a long span of time, towns that sell property, that's, you know, should be very careful about doing that. I mean, sometimes maybe it makes sense, and you know, if we combine the two properties together, like you're saying, maybe it makes sense to coordinate a plan for the Park Ave. But I don't want to be in the business of selling off town property to make short money, one-time money that we can use in the budget that'll be gone, and you know.
Right, exactly. You don't want to do
Well, the Park Ave is near and dear to my heart. I remember Miss Gum very much. So she was wonderful. You could hear her clapping probably to the center of town.
Beth, yeah.
I just wanted to say that we need to, you know, look into this further, but I think even selling the COA wouldn't recoup enough money to get that Corthell building where it needs to be in order for it to be functioning for the COA.
Yeah.
So,
I think I'd be leaning towards selling the Corthell building. I think we'd
around there, too.
$2 million. It's not really short money that we would get if we sold it, I think, and it would cost too much to get it up to speed to lease it. It makes sense to me to sell it,
And
and I wouldn't call it short money.
as a point of comparison, I think the Santander Bank in the center is up for sale for, I think it's about $1.5 million right now, and nobody's biting. So we may not get $2 million for that Corthell building. It may be $1 million, but
Is there a way that we can go out and see what survey what we could get for it and what we could possibly, you know, what it would cost to knock the Park Ave school down, maybe? You know, get both aspects of it. And if it equals out one page for the other, we've solved 2 problems. Monetarily, the town wouldn't gain anything out of it other than being able to sell, you know, use the Park Ave school for whatever town purposes other than, you know, watching kids break in. You know?
but keep in mind, if we do sell it and there's a mixed use or a condo or whatever goes there, then we're seeing new tax dollars, you know, on the rolls. So that's huge
Yeah.
as well. So certainly I can see if,
First step is to see what we can get for it.
that's right.
get an estimate of what we could get for one and what it would cost for the other.
If
I
it's a
could
half
get
million,
some-
they make sense to lease.
Yep.
Could we, I'm not trying to give Mary Beth more tasks, but could we just put some feelers out for potential lease options? Like what we're talking about? Like, would anybody be interested? And if they were, like, what kind of money would we make per month? You know, that kind of thing.
Well, we would have to have the building inspector go in and give an estimate of what it would cost to bring it up to date.
I mean, I know children were in there not too long ago, so it had to be obviously in decent shape.
It may need a new roof, it may need, there may be some rot around it, whatever. And our building inspector that's his main factor. He's a builder, so he could probably do a walk around and come up with a possible estimate of the cost of repairs.
Okay, so I can look into seeing what the property could go for in the market, right? I mean, we want to see that for sure. And then you'd like a cost, an estimate of bringing it up to
Code.
code where we could
Lease it.
occupy it or lease it. Okay.
That's good.
Anything else?
And maybe some way it would, maybe the cost of knocking the Park Ave down, that offsets it, I don't know.
Cost of demolishing.
Because I don't think we would want to renovate it, right? Too involved in that or what?
For renovating Cortell?
No, Park Ave School.
No,
No, you won't touch it.
Park Ave
That
School
needs to be
is-
raised.
It took $1 million to knock down McQuon. I think that's our ballpark.
Okay.
Okay. Is there anyone here from Mass Electric doing business as National Grid? No, no one here.
Table.
So we'll forget it.
We'll table.
Okay, motion to table the public hearing on Mass Electric.
Table, motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, joint meeting with the Finance Committee. Welcome.
Okay.
Take the lead.
All right. First, I'd like to thank the Finance Committee and the members of the district who are joining us this evening for the joint Select Board Finance Committee meeting to discuss the fiscal year 2027 preliminary budget update. Before we delve into the fiscal year preliminary budget presentation, I just want to let you know that this budget, as it always is at this time of year, is constantly changing as final budget amounts are confirmed. I'm currently in the process of meeting with all department heads to review their budget requests and the corresponding supporting backup information. To date, I've met with the police department, the fire department, the DPW Park and Highway, DPW Water and Sewer, and the treasurer collector. As budgets are reviewed, additional adjustments will be made. I know that the FinCom is also in the process of meeting with the various departments to review their budgets as they do each year as well. The district and the vocational schools budgets will be firmed up later in the budget cycle, as they typically are. Another big item, the medical life insurance town match budget will be confirmed in February or March when the rates for fiscal '27 are set. They usually like more history before they go ahead and set the rates. While departments have experienced level funding in many of their budget lines in the past couple of years, it should not be surprising that free cash has been certified lower than in previous years. While local receipts each budget cycle are only estimates and may not always come in where originally projected, it's extremely important to be more conservative at this point in the budget process. As we have more data to review in the current budget year, adjustments can be made more and accurately projected. I would like to commend many of the departments that followed the directive for the fiscal year 2027 departmental budget requests where possible. I know this year is shaping up to be another challenging year, and I'm hoping that we will all, once again, work together leading up to the May annual town meeting and a balanced budget. So thank you. Sean?
Sure. Ryan, you're welcome to sit at the table. Sit sure. Well, just for my part, I've had the honor of working with Mary Beth Carter. I don't want this to be confused at all. I'm not an accountant. I'm not a treasurer collector. I've had the privilege of working with Mary Beth Carter
the town administrator and her financial team, Jenna Gente's here, and Deb O'Brien, Kathy Keefe, and my role mostly is to ask 1,000 questions. I feel like when we look at a little bit where the schools got into trouble was some of the lack of transparency and some of the lack of collaboration with the board, and for me, what I'm thinking is for one of us to play an active role in asking questions and learning about the budget and then having to communicate about it, it keeps us in the know. And it certainly helps me understand the budget better, but please don't anybody make the mistake that I'm making formal professional decisions about the budget. That's not my role. Okay, I'm in this kind of like a liaison and help to communicate, keep us all up to date about the budget. Okay, I'm going to try and move through this fairly efficiently, but if you have a question at any time, please, speak up. I thought it'd be appropriate to reference this is from the Massachusetts Municipal Association. Perfect Storm report that just came out in October. I thought it was a great report. If I had to boil it down to just two, I'm just kind of following their lead. If you're wondering why towns across the state are having trouble with their budgets, there are two primary factors. One is inflation. When inflation is less than 2.5%, then it's pretty obvious when you're putting together a budget that can be limited to the proposition 2.5, it's not so bad. But if inflation is above 2.5%, which it has been, then you're effectively having to make cuts each year if you stay within the 2.5%. So that's very difficult for towns to reckon with. And also the disappearing federal aid. So combinations of those two things, they call it a tightening vice. That's the backdrop for how we're preparing the budget. And we're not alone. Most towns across the state are in that same boat. At this point, I like this document from the Department of Local Services. It says the annual budget is the community's primary policy statement and establishes the priorities of government. The most effective budget process follows a formal calendar that begins in the fall with a financial forecast. So this is our financial forecast. It's just that it's not set in stone. This is a draft. The numbers are going to be moving, with each week. So we'll try to keep you updated, but this is our first kind of big milestone where we sit down the Selectmen Finance Committee and at least representative from the school committee. We start with the revenue projection. Step one and step two are math that we can do right now. You add 2.5% to the current levy, and you add projected new growth. So that's about $1 million. You add excluded debt. I muted that because what we add for debt on one side, on the revenue side, we're also going to add to the expenditure side. So it doesn't really add to new revenue that we can use in the operating budget. And then you look at projected receipts and others, so that's the local receipts that Mary Beth Carter was talking about. Why it's important for us to be conservative at this point in the budget cycle. The reason that is when we're putting together our projections for the local receipts, and I referenced the excise tax before. Right now, we don't know what the excise tax is going to come back. We have like anecdotally, like, what do you think the excise tax is going to come back? Do you think we're going to match last year, or do you think we're going to be more? We can go round and round in discussion, but we don't really have any evidence about excise tax right now. So we fall back on our financial policy. And our financial policy is saying that we're going to take 85% of the prior year actuals. But in February is when the first commitment goes out. And the way that the excise tax works, with the first commitment, that's when the vast majority of the people of the town pay their excise tax. Beyond that, it's people who purchase a new car. Am I missing anything there, Mary Beth?
No, so it's the main commitment, and then we do receive several subsequent commitments throughout the year. Maybe another 6, 7 commitments, but they dwindle.
It's like 75% of our excise tax comes back in that first commitment. So when we can look at that first commitment, that gives us evidence about our projection. So we think it's going to be higher than 85%, but we're being conservative right now. The other probably major part of our local receipts that we're watching closely is our investment income. Maybe you can explain this a little bit better than I.
Sure. So our investment income the past couple of years was much higher. You have to remember that we had $19 million that we were spending down on the new DPW project. So as we have expended that money, of course, we're not going to earn the investment income that we did the year before. So I believe a couple of years ago, it was over 700,000 that we had estimated. And then it was down to 706,000 was collected in fiscal '25. 475,608 was estimated in '26, and now for '27 we're projecting 275,000. It's not just that project; it's the investment income on all the money in the bank and all our investments. However, that's important. Just we will be talking about something later in the meeting about the town possibly taking over the borrowing for the Whitman Middle School. If in fact that's done and 70 million is borrowed and they pay 30 million off, there will be money that we will be earning some money on as we turn over money to the schools down the road. So that's something to consider, but nothing that we can, add into the.
If that comes to fruition, and it seems to be trending in that direction, then we will have more money in investment income. However, keep in mind that we'll have a good amount in '27, but it'll come off pretty quickly. So. Good?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Do you want to just go back
Sure.
just one bit? The key point there.
Oh,
So
yes.
the additional 2.5% plus new growth, which is the $821,058 and 200,000 for the $1,021,058, that sounds like, oh, that's, added revenue that we can spend in fiscal '27. However, when you compare that and you look at the available funds, total available funds this year, and you compare the total available funds this year to the total available funds last year, the difference is really only $639,911. So it's not that $1 million because of the local receipts, being under right now. So we will get that first commitment in January. We'll look at that, compare that first commitment to the first commitment from the previous year, see how much greater that is. And then we'll also look at, trash revenue more closely. We have projected, some of that into the budget, but we'll see how that trends as well. So the initial pass, we want to keep fairly conservative because these are estimates. And, at the end of the year, when everything is said and done, in the fall, the accountant looks at, okay, here are all of our projections, and what really, did we project money coming in for, cannabis and we didn't get any, or do we over project in ambulance and that didn't come in, but we had way more in investment income than we thought we'd have. So it all needs to be balanced out. So at this stage of the game, we're taking a conservative approach.
Yeah. Key takeaway. Right now, new revenue that we can use in the operating budget is only just above $600,000. So.
Okay, so the town administrator's budget message to department heads, I just asked that they all include a 2.5% increase for all non-union employees without contracts. I asked that they include the stated contract increase for those non-union employees with a current contract. We don't have all that many that have actual contracts, but we do have to, account for whatever was in that contract. I asked that they include any contractual 27 step raises for union employees and include COLAs as stated in the current union contracts. So 4 out of 5 of our unions have settled. An article on the special town meeting will be to ratify the fire department's contract. But even for the police department, they have not yet settled. But we still, I've asked that they put in a 2.5% increase estimate. And that's just a placeholder for the police. I asked that they level fund all department expenses, but I want to be very clear that level funding expenses is very different from level service expenses. So when you level fund your expenses, that equates to the same amount that was budgeted the prior year without any consideration for cost increases. And as we know, everything's gone up. So for like our town meeting reports, we had 6,000, and last year I said, well, we're just going to have to order a few less reports. You know, we seem to have some left over, so we're just ordering less. I mean, where you can, that's possible, but level service, and you'll hear that term mentioned a lot, that equates to the same service that was provided the prior year. However, that's including necessary cost increases. So I'm saying to the town, please level fund where possible. And it's not always possible because our vendors, while our IT director has done really great at you know, calling them and, you know, saying, you know, can you hold your prices? Can you hold your prices? I mean, we've seen some inevitable increases like we all have in our personal lives as well. So level fund is very different than level service. Just keep that in mind.
So our initial ask is that the town, when we do our calculation, is pretty sparse. We're not putting in, you know, a whole lot of fluff in the budget for our initial calculation. For our initial expenditure calculation, it's a pretty sparse calculation, pretty tight.
That's right. And while I had said include any contractual 27 step raises and the COLAs as stated, while the 4 contracts that have settled at a 7.5 over 3 years, some have taken, you know, a little less in the first year or a little more in the first year. So it has to be whatever was in their contract that they include in their requests. Okay, the next screen is important budget items for fiscal year 2027. And of course, you know, our big budget items is always the Plymouth County retirement. That came in at a 7.28% increase, and that equates to $260,150. And the increase includes $200,000 from free cash. So the 7.28% increase is the total amount that we need to pay to Plymouth County retirement. However, $200,000 of that will be infused from free cash per our fiscal free cash policy. Our medical and health insurance, I had stated that they didn't really come out yet with their rates for their actives. They come out in about February or March. However, the active employees for the Mayflower Municipal Health Group, their increases run on a fiscal year, July 1st through June 30th. However, our retirees, MedX, and we have quite a few retirees, more retirees than we do actives, they went up over 11%. And so their enrollment runs on a January 1st through December 31st each year. So we have a mix within a fiscal year. So for now, and I was told to put it in about a 10% placeholder, but I know that we have more retirees than actives, and they went up over 11. I believe it was 11.3. So for right now, I have an 11% placeholder in there. The Mayflower Municipal Health Group is a joint purchase group, and they like the best in the country for their performance right now and how they manage their finances. Our rates have been considerably lower for our active employees than most others in the state for sure and in the country because we have healthy reserves, and I'm on the steering committee for the Mayflower Municipal Health Group. So last year, they put several $1 million at risk to keep the rates down, and they kept those rates under 7% when the GIC was looking at 15%, and Maya rates were between like 12 and 19%. So, and these groups are looking at these huge increases, and I think that you'll see that ours will come in, I'm hoping for sure, under 10% again this year. And then we have the town side of the budget is approximately, I'd say 3.5% to 4% increase over fiscal 2026. For the Whitman-Hanson Regional School District, the assessment, we put in a 5% placeholder. That equates to an increase of $995,878.
Can I add?
Just at 5%.
The schools didn't give us that number.
No, it's a
They didn't
placeholder.
request that number, none of that, you know, and this isn't us insisting 5%. This is simply so we can run a calculation. 5% has been kind of used in the past. It's evolved, and we'll talk a little bit more as the presentation moves forward. But it's been a number that we used in the past, so we put it in just to run the calculation. But I don't want anybody in the community to get confused and think that we're trying to force this on the schools or whatnot, just so we can run the calculation and get our kind of center of gravity.
I agree, and that's why I wanted to put placeholder in there. And that, what we've done, we did it last year, we're doing it again this year, is it includes 140,000 from the meals tax, which previously funded OPEB, other post-employment benefits. So we have infused $200,000 from free cash to go towards our Plymouth County retirement assessment, and 140,000 of our free cash to go towards the district's 5% from free cash. So I did mention before that 4 out of 5 unions have settled contracts for fiscal years 2026 through 2028, and the town is currently in negotiations with the 5th union, which is the police union. So.
Okay, so when we run that calculation on the revenue side and the expenditure side, the bottom line is a current deficit of almost $1.3 million.
Excuse me, Mr. King?
Yes.
Can I just ask, that's a pretty big deficit. To the union, I'm not getting all of this. When you retire, you get all these extra benefits. Do you pay into it while you're working? Do you pay for your pensions, is what I'm asking. I mean, police, fire, DPW, teachers, etc.
I can take that.
Sure. Yeah.
Sure. So all employees pay in 9% plus 2% over 30,000 to Plymouth County Retirement every paycheck. And that goes in to make up part of their equation for their pension, for their retirement, for their pension. Aside from what is paid in by our current employees, there is what's called the unfunded liability for Plymouth County Retirement. And that is that big number that we are paying out each year. For this year, it's $3.8 million. And that is supposed to be fully funded if the Plymouth County Retirement keeps the schedule as is in 2031. After which time, we will just have like normal costs, it's called, and it's basically about 10% of what we currently pay in now. So yes, employees, police, fire, DPW, everybody who receives a pension pays in towards that pension every paycheck, every pay period.
See, what I'm concerned about, and I'm pretty new here, is that the salaries people receive, that goes for all the big unions, for everybody who's in a union, CSEA, whatever they're in. They retire, okay, on the average of the last 3 years they're employed. That would include overtime, anything else. That's a lot of money. Well, I want to see some of these contracts too. I think we need an expert to evaluate these contracts. Because you know what I would say right now? We're saying we're 1.3 deficit for the town, 1.4 million. I'm not even going to start on school. 1.4 million. It seems to me we need an expert negotiator, an expert contract. They make it. We still need someone else to negotiate it. I want no one involved or knowing anybody at all in this town. Get them from Boston. I don't care where you get them from. And I know it's going to be expensive, but guess what? You will get that in check.
You have that.
Somebody else from out of this town is not going to even listen to this.
Peter does
It's
that. He knows.
ridiculous.
I appreciate the feedback. Negotiating contracts is something I'm relatively new to. Some of these guys have been doing it for a long time, but
Yeah,
if
but-
you hold on one second now.
Okay.
Hold on 1 second. If you want to come in and actually go over some of the contracts and we'll explain kind of how they came to be this way, some of the evolution of the contracts over time, and also some of the big picture, JLMC is ultimately if we don't settle, say, and the contract was going to be settled by somebody other than us, how those contracts are settled and where they're coming in at. If you go back to that second slide, that perfect storm, the inflation is really driving up contracts in ways that are, it's hard to argue when, employees are basically losing money if we're holding them within, tight 2.5%. They're fighting for what they're argue is rightfully theirs, and it's a difficult negotiation. Negotiations right now are not a comfortable spot to be. There's a lot of tense situations, and honestly, I've been impressed with the 4
I mean, I've been impressed with each of the groups and the negotiation, but it's a difficult negotiation. But let's go, I'm gonna, if you,
I'm sorry, and I'm not as kind. I'm sorry, Ms. Howe.
No.
I think you are. I'm not. And yes, I'm from New York. And yes, I'm a union member. And yes, I know it goes into a contract. Yes, we took a freeze. Rather than lose those people that, I said I wouldn't get started. But the bottom line is, that's not right. They didn't need, no 2.5 for them. They had no paycheck. That's not good. There is collusion and conflict of interest even on the committee, the school committee. Okay? Teachers should not be on the school committee, nor should they be given a superintendent the contract. I never heard of that. I was sitting home when that happened, because I'll tell you right now, I would have been up in his face and said, excuse me, you're not getting a contract. 2 of my friends voted it down. A lot of new people kind of said, oh, but you need more money. We need you for opening the new school. What? I was like appalled. And the thing in this place
I'm gonna
is
go back to the
everybody's
presentation.
No, excuse me, I'm gonna
Up your
finish and
point,
go
that's all,
home,
if you don't mind.
because it's too stressful for me. The bottom line is, money is money. I have to live within my income. I earned it, but it's fixed. It doesn't go up every year. In fact, my expenses go up every year. Not just that. My union is set, but I earn too much to get Social Security. That's decrease. I'm like, whatever. But the bottom line is it is what it is. When you go to work, I'm sorry, at any of these town services, including schools, you are not getting rich. Everybody should know that. The only people that get rich are entrepreneurs or in big business. You get parachutes and everything. We are a small town. I come from New York City. They're paying my pension. I got businesses and everything else. Who's gonna pay these pensions? I'm gonna be
Thank you.
dead. But the
Appreciate the
thing,
feedback.
okay, that's not,
Miss
I'm
Shawn,
sorry.
can I just say one thing?
Sure.
I just want to just say real quickly that I wanted just to clear up about employees, because many people do get confused that I'm select person and animal control. And I just want you to know that animal control has no contracts, and we are 19 hours. We don't get pensions or holidays or anything. I work 50 hours and 98 hours every other week, 8 years and a half, and I get 19 hours a week. And selectmen in this town don't get paid, because I do appreciate your passion, and I have a heart for the community and struggling. I work for this town for free because I love it. But your questions are valid, and I do appreciate your input. Thank you.
Thank you. So go to,
This conversation should probably be over,
Just a question about.
or maybe it's a conversation that could be nicely handled at a school committee meeting.
It seems you're missing a lot out of it.
Excuse me. I didn't recognize you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, Sean, do you have anything else to say?
no, it's okay. I think these are conversations that need to be had, honestly. The
They need to be
funding
had,
form,
but maybe not right now at this length.
no, but I think it's a recognizing the tensions in the community. It's important for us to do and find time to have the conversations. This slide, I think, is appropriate to have, good follow-up. How we proportion money for the school and to the town has been a major source of tension for this community over the last, I'm sure 10 years.
No, we
It's
didn't.
not a clear way for us to do that. And in many ways, it's really, I wouldn't say it's driving our community apart. I don't want to be dramatic, but there are people who are really stuck on one way and how we should be given more to one side, and there are people who are really stuck on the other way and think we should be given more to the other. And I think we should really take this conversation to the next level and try to work towards some formulas that help us make these decisions in a way that really is fair and transparent, so that people in the community can understand how we're making those decisions. Last year, I think we made some progress on this, and these 4 formulas surfaced. Tonight, it's not my intention to argue one formula over the other. But I think each of the formulas have merit that inform us about the budget. I'd like the Finance Committee to kind of formally wrestle with some of these formulas and even deliberate at a meeting about them and give us some feedback about a formula that you feel like is the pros of certain formulas, and any feedback that we can improve would certainly be appreciated. Real quickly, I'd like to talk about each of them. John Galvin's here, so I'd like him to speak about the formula that he presented, and Justin obviously is here. But the 2.5 and 5, I think we've discussed. That surfaced from a consultant that we brought in about 5 years ago, roughly. He did a thorough evaluation. He worked with a number of people in our community to give us some feedback about a potential override that we're going to have. And one of the things that surfaced was this 2.5% to the town and 5% to the school. I thought initially that would solve a lot of our issues. It came from a consultant, but what happened after was a whole bunch of tension that kind of surfaced in how you interpret the 2.5 and 5. It isn't exactly clear what he meant by 5%, because does that mean 5% for the assessment? Does that mean 5% for the school budget? That wasn't exactly fleshed out. In addition, if you have a particular year that has less revenue, I mean, 5% of the schools right now is $1 million, and we just said that conservatively, we're looking at a little over $600,000. So that would be $400,000 more to the schools just with 5%. You know, so what happens then? How do you proportionately, if you're going to lower that, and obviously if you have more than a particular year where you're making more revenue, then how do you divvy it up on there? So it just isn't just 2.5 and 5. I presented a revenue-based formula where you'd say something like a simple rule: if the school makes up 47% of the current budget and we have about $1 million in revenue, then 47% of that revenue should go to the school, and the other, what's left over, should go to the town. So kind of really focusing on the revenue. But there are some cons to that. It doesn't take into account the full scope of the region, and in the conversations that we had last year, it surfaced that there are some flaws in that formula that I would like you guys to kind of flesh out and recognize. But there is something to that formula that also gives us some reflection of if we have a small amount of revenue and we do have to proportion it, maybe some proportion there would be helpful. John Galvin came up with a clever, simple formula that pertains to when we were struggling with how to proportion for the deficit last year. Hello. So I sat in one meeting last year with the budget subcommittee, and we were hashing through this, and I tried to look at it as simple as possible. Looking at a level service budget from the town, looking at a level service budget from the school, what percent of the total budget was the school? So if we look at this year's numbers, the school's budget is about 42% of the total budget that's in there based on what's in there. Now, anybody in here, that's not a level service budget for the school. So that's just that base. But if that was the case, then whatever the deficit is, 1.3 million, we would look for the school to cut 42% from their budget and the town to cut 58% from their budget to get that down to a balanced budget. Pretty simple. Again, back to the school, we know that 5% is probably not their level service budget, and hopefully they're coming out with one pretty soon, where we're at. Let's say if the school had an 8% increase in our budget, that's another $600,000 that the school would add to the budget. That doesn't really change the school's percentage that much. It's only going to bring it up to about 42.8%. But it's adding, it would make the deficit $1.9 million. It makes a big difference to have that level service versus level service. So that's just, again, trying to keep it simple.
Thank you, John.
Yeah, so definitely some merit with that. And we mulled that around last year. And Justin has another clever formula that he came up with.
Yeah, you'll left an S off my name, but we'll hold that against you.
Sorry about that.
And so, looking at it with the with John Galvin last year, kind of coming from the same perspective of percent of the deficit. You know, right? If it's all level services, how do you cut from there? Except instead of percent of the town's budget, I looked at the percent of both operating budgets. So the schools have a roughly $70 million budget, and the town, when you take the 20 million of the schools out of it, is about a $30 million budget. If both parties have to cut, 5% from there, the schools are cutting a lot more money, but it's a 5% budget reduction to them. The towns are cutting less money, but it's a 5% budget reduction to us. That seemed more equitable when looking at some of the other formulas. That, I actually developed that in the reverse, where it's like, if we have $600,000 of new revenue, how do you proportion it so that each party is getting an equitable amount? And you grow from there, but I think you could apply it either way in reducing the overages or adding revenue.
So I think the value in that formula is that it treats both entities as kind of equals. There are budgetary pressures on both sides that we face, with just like we were talking about medical insurance and retirement costs and utilities. You see that on both sides. But when you just compare the school line on Article 2 with, the DPW line, the DPW doesn't have some of those budgetary pressures in it, so it's not quite apples to apples. Justin's formula makes it a bit more apples to apples, which I think has some strong value to it. Questions or thoughts about that before we move forward? Yeah.
Thank you, so really appreciate that. When you're doing revenue, it seems you're just doing revenue from taxation, and you're not including unrestricted government aid, which is, I think the budget increased by $1.3 billion this year, and last year was almost $2 million. So you're not including any of the cherry sheet or other revenues in this. You're just including the taxation, I'm assuming, to get that number. Is that right?
It's on there.
The unrestricted government aid is included in those numbers.
Correct.
And the increases.
Yes.
Estimated receipts and other sources, that's correct. So, and then we have the total revenue, and then we have the offsets that we have every month, the cherry sheet charges, the cherry sheet offsets, tax title purposes, snow and ice deficit, allowance for abatements, and so forth. So yes,
You're already allocated that. So you
it's into the
I can
budget.
share the document with you so you can.
Yes, I'd like to see that.
Yeah, for sure. But is this just in the last couple of weeks that there's been some messaging out from the state about this? Is how they're going to potentially increase more state aid? Is that what you're referring to a little bit?
Yes, yeah, there was a large increase in some for both the towns, and there was some for the schools. I think I brought that forward to the chair as an option, because we are, in my opinion, and from what I see, we're running a risky budget right now with very little flexibility for if a child came in with disabilities to actually meet those needs. And so right now it seems we're sort of, and I want to let my chair probably speak more to it, holding up a little bit of that extra money for those, those risky things, as we try to fill in the large gap that we already have. But in terms of the town, they're also getting those increases. They want to, I'll wait for your sheet and let you finish. Thank you so much.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, I in my opinion, the more eyes on this, the better. Certain things pop up and we ask questions like, hey, how come this, how come that? That's how little things surface, and we have a very efficient budget. I think transparency and public engagement, I mean, I mentioned this at the budget subcommittee meeting last week. I think those two things really help the budget, open it up so that there's more people can see, and allowing more people to participate. It can be frustrating sometimes, but I think it does make for a better process overall. Well, so hopefully some good follow-up conversation and feedback from you guys after about these.
So on the debt schedule, just a couple of things to keep in mind. I mean, certainly we have the DPW debt, and we will have the Whitman Middle School debt. Right now, we've only had a ban amount for a bond anticipation note, a short-term debt. But I know the district is looking to bond next time they go out. But to keep in mind that the Whitman-Hanson Regional School District, the high school debt exclusion, the final debt payment is in fiscal year 2027, and that's in the amount of $353,790. And the next debt that we have coming off the rolls is the police station, fire station, town hall, renovations debt exclusion, and that final debt payment is in 2030. So listed there are the 27, 8, 29, and 30. Those are the last four payments for the police station debt. So we have had some new debt come on, and it's, significantly higher than what's going off, but keep in mind that those are rolling off our.
Yep. And as we get specific information about the middle school, we'll share those numbers as soon as we have them.
Okay, and on the capital, we did last year vote a free cash policy in, I believe it was March of 2025, where 10% of our free cash will be applied to the capital stabilization fund. So this year that equated to $105,031.30. The next 10% of the balance of free cash is set to go to the general stabilization fund. That's $94,528.17. And I mentioned earlier that we've earmarked $200,000 of free cash for the next several years to go to the Plymouth County Retirement Unfunded Liability, and then $140,000 to be applied to our other post-employment benefit unfunded liability. My hopes, I really do hope that when the Plymouth County Retirement, whenever that ends, and that can only be extended till 2040, it's set for 2031 right now. I don't know if it will push out another year or so. That hasn't been determined by Plymouth County Retirement. But whenever that unfunded liability ends, it will free up quite a bit of money, and we need to increase the amount that we're applying to our OPEB liability. So that $140,000, we should definitely increase that by at least another $1 million or so.
I have a question on an earlier slide where I may have misunderstood that the $140,000 was now being applied to the Whitman-Hanson school budget, not to OPEB.
So no, the $140,000 is being applied from free cash, is going to OPEB.
Okay.
Okay.
The meals tax.
The meals tax previously, the $140,000 was going to OPEB. So that money was helping us fund the district now, and then we had that gap. And I did ask our actuary and financial advisors, everybody, about, I'm really worried if we don't keep up with this funding of the unfunded liability. And so if you miss 2 years of funding it, then the Moody's and S&P look at you like you don't have a plan any longer. And that hurts, and when they give you your rating. And I'm very big on making sure that we have a very stable bond rating at all times. These reserves help with that. If we take over the borrowing, we are going to have to go out and have another rating. We have always used Moody's. They're going to look at our stabilization. They're going to look at how we proactively fund our OPEB. So those are all important things. So, and then we have the free cash was certified at $1,050,313. The free cash balance after we put the 4 items above in the different funds leaves us a balance of only $510,753.53 for all of our capital. And you can see that our requests, and this is without just a couple of requests that were mentioned the other day from water and sewer, are already at $3,251,666.47. So we have far more in requests than we have available free cash. And also later in the meeting, when we talk about the special town meeting, there are some items there that are to be funded by free cash. And we never want to go into a special town meeting or an annual town meeting with zero free cash. So, yes.
So your feedback on the way we're implementing our financial policy will be really helpful over in the short term, next month, because obviously if we stick tight to these, the financial policy that we're implementing, it's very good for long term. It's better for long term, but you can see how there's going to be some tension in the short term. So if you have some tensions with any of these, please give us feedback. In addition, we're missing
I have just one more question about your free cash policy. Does it include free cash will not be used to fund one-time expense, recurring expenses?
Yes, right now that's in our financial policy.
It is?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. So no Article 2?
Not the fiscal policy we voted, but
Yeah,
Free cash policy, not the fiscal policy.
Yeah, I'm certainly going to address that with the special when we talk about the special. But right now, that is definitely the way that we point a compass is that we're not using one-time funds for recurring revenue.
expenses.
That's what our financial policy says. Sure.
And it's probably a good place to jump in here. So on the free cash policy, something I'd like to revisit in the future, and it might be good to get feedback from the finance committee on, is that, you know, our financial policies predate the free cash policy, call for us to fund general stabilization between 5 and 10% of our operating expenditures. So currently our general stabilization is about 3.4 million, Mary Beth, ballpark.
let me just, I can tell you exactly.
Can
Let's see. As of December 2nd, it was 3,397,735.97. Very close.
So for a $50 million operating budget, 48 and whatever, that's right in the sweet spot. So I think it would be wise for us to take that second 10% and start pre-funding the Plymouth County retirement unfunded liability. Start paying down, it's like paying your mortgage, paying that extra mortgage payment, and just start knocking down that looming liability that is really holding us back for the next 5 years. So I think a future select board meeting, hopefully we can revisit that free cash policy and make that switch just until we've fully funded the Plymouth County retirement, because by that point, I imagine our operating expenditures will have grown and we'll be a lot closer to that 5% and need to start adding to general stabilization.
So any feedback on that, whether it's either right now or in, over the next month or so, that would be helpful for us for sure.
Yeah. And the other thing on just the free cash front that, in our financial policies, we want our free cash to be between 3 and 5% of our operating budget. And so for fiscal 26 free cash certification, we're a little light. And that's because we really pushed those revenue projections higher than we should have. Some of them, it ended up balancing out with a little bit of money turned back, but some of them were tight. So I think looking at budgeting for fiscal 27, we want to hold some of those projections more conservatively than we did last year, which is where that deficit is starting to hurt us. That, 600,000 in new revenue comes from us trying to be more conservative with our projections.
And then lastly, with the capital slide, we don't have a 5-year capital plan right now. That it's on our strategic plan. It's been something that we've been looking at. I know that the capital committee has been talking about it, but any way that we can identify obstacles to help you overcome or that we can tackle together, that's an area of improvement that we can definitely focus on. I know our facilities, Todd DeCudo has done a great job. He's put together a comprehensive facilities plan, and in many ways has addressed a lot of those issues, but to transition those things, that information into like a formal 5-year capital plan, I think is definitely an area of improvement that we can focus on. Okay, now if we go to that, we were talking about fiscal 27. Now if we come to the special, which is going to address fiscal year 2026. The reason why I think this is important, just to preface a little bit with the public safety. It's been obvious, as I said, over the last number of years, that there's been a tension between the town side of the budget and the school side of the budget. When the override failed last year, there was significant tension on the public safety side, and people I really trust and I really consider their feedback saying, we crossed the threshold that they're not comfortable with, and it was obvious in the 1 or 2 days before town meeting that it was going to be pretty aggressive on the town meeting floor. For that reason, I proposed a compromise. I believe it was the right thing to do. The compromise was put forth, and the people of town kind of deferred to us to give us 6 months' time to try and find the money to keep public safety whole. 2 major reasons why I support that is because although it is using one-time money now, which is something that I do not want to do, I think if we didn't propose a compromise, then there was a real chance that somebody on the floor, which did happen at town meeting, was going to proposed to take money from the school district, $500,000, and move it over to public safety. I think there's a real chance that that could have been supported had a compromise not been put on the table. That concerns me. If we don't support this at the special town meeting, although financially it'll seem like things would be better in the 27 budget, I'm worried about the repercussions of people who are going to be really upset that we didn't kind of fall through with, not like a deal, because the message that was sent was, give us 6 months to try and figure this out, and we're going to present something to you. But I'm worried if we don't keep public safety whole for a couple of reasons. The first and major reason is safety. I think if we don't run a second ambulance, it's a real hit to response times. And I think there are people in our community who really pay attention to that, and that's a major priority to them. And two, when we run the second ambulance, we bring in revenue. So it's an active revenue source, and it's not a small revenue source, it's a fairly substantial revenue source. So by not keeping that second ambulance running, as we do, we're not checking two of those big boxes on safety and revenue. The downside is we were hoping to pay for this out of ambulance revenue, projections that we thought were going to come through. The mistake that we made was we thought we raised the ambulance rates last year. So for us, when we're doing the revenue projection, I was under the impression that by raising the rates that we would charge for different ambulance reasons, that revenue is going to increase fairly substantially because of the rates that we increased. As it turns out, and we did a ton of research on this, not me specifically, but Chief and his leadership team and Mary Beth Carter, as it turns out, it doesn't much matter what you change for rates, it's more what the insurance company is willing to pay. So that was a critical mistake that meant that our projections came back less than what we thought they were going to be. So, which leaves us with, I mean, we looked at other things, and honestly, for over the summer months and into the early fall, we were spending a lot of time just looking at the budget in all ways that we can become more efficient and look at revenue. And I think you can connect the dots on some of those things. But right now, this is the deal that we have in front of us. Which I do, by the way, at the special time meeting, it is connected to, we're ratifying the fire contract at the special time meeting. These things are obviously connected. So it's $148,000 for both the fire department and the police department, and we're looking to primarily fund those things with ambulance purchase, the ambulance purchase account, and a vehicle that we're going to use for the fire department that we're no longer going to purchase. Yeah.
How much is in the ambulance purchase account?
So between the 53,000 and the 123,214, that's every penny that's in the account. So it's 176,214. So
What's
that
the-
would delete that. That would.
What's the expected life of the ambulances that we have left?
So actually, just to let you know that we purchased one brand new ambulance with CARES money through COVID a few years ago. And there's a second ambulance that we received from Plymouth County Opera that was due to come in by the end of this month, but it certainly will be in.
It's in production now. I know it's in body and paint, so it should be coming out the next month or so, and based upon the ARPA money through commissioners.
Yeah.
We'll have another.
We do use capital stabilization, I think, in a way that was, originally how the old ambulance purchase account was intended to be used. So we have capital stabilization that we're kind of funding. But I think those are the exact questions that you need to ask hard questions about that and hold us to, like, if we're going to pull from here, how are we going to fund our capital moving forward? Because obviously it's a major concern.
To speak on sort of the capital committee front, if I can jump in, the tentative plan is to buy a new ambulance every 3 years. And so you need to put aside about $150,000 every year to have that. And now they're probably up to $500,000 for an ambulance, but you got to make that investment so that you can buy it and not lease them and get behind on those payments. The practice that we tried to get away from.
Is there a policy that does that deducts that from the ambulance fees?
I believe it's probably still a standing policy, but with the CARES and ARPA funding, we stopped following that policy because we were just buying ambulances with federal money.
Wasn't it the first $150,000 of ambulance receipts was going to go into ambulance purchase?
I think we bought turnout gear one year. Yeah,
Yes.
it's sort of fallen off track there.
Yeah.
That's the policy that we need to reconsider if we're going to use this. You know, do we go back to that policy, or how does that merge with the bigger capital plan? You know, so we're deliberately putting capital a bit on the back seat over the next 5 years. I mean, we haven't talked about this thoroughly, but we've talked about it at a meeting where we know it's going to be tight, and kind of making capital a bit of a backseat to personnel. But you don't want to be foolish about it. So finding that balance, your feedback will be helpful for us.
I mean, some of these go hand in hand. Hiring another firefighter and having no turnout gear doesn't really help us, right? So one of the things we've noted, I think the last 2 years I've been doing the budgets, is we tend to do a lot of our purchases for those types of equipment that has a shelf life. We do them through capital as opposed to amortize them. If we bought 20% of all the turnout gear every year was rotated, instead of waiting and every 5 years, all new stuff, we can manage our money a little bit better than we are right now, because when we hit, well, we're this perfect storm and we don't have the money, but now all of a sudden we need, equipment for 4 or 5 different departments, a new truck here and a truck there. If we didn't go through some kind of little payments along the way and turn that over in a more realistic way, we'll not have the money, and then we're in deep trouble.
Yeah, so we need to hear that loud and clear. Thank you. Chiefs, would you guys like to address it all?
We've had great discussions about this on spacing it out. The problem with the turnout gear is it's on a 10-year life cycle. So I do it every 5 years, so we always have to maintain 2 sets for the public for us. So when we have a fire, they have another set of gear to go in. We always have 2 sets available. So we do it on the 5-year cycle because we had talked about phasing it in. I would be getting rid of turnout gear that can still be used. You know what I mean? And we'll throw our prices of all of our stuff has gone through the roof, as you see in capital. Capital sees and anything associated with public safety, the price just triples. We do the gear like that so that they maintain the 2 sets and we are not throwing away good gear. The outcome of this is we have to maintain the 2 sets of gear and have it fresh and going. There's new requirements coming forward that's going to be PFAS free. So I can't tell you where we're headed. That's a rule after 2027. And that's another challenge that we'll be facing up with the next round of purchases.
Chief, you've also been fairly successful in earmarks and grants as well. So when we have a large chunk of turnout gear come due, you can usually get 30 to 50 grand in the state budget to subsidize.
We've been trying. Through our DFS earmarks and public safety grant, we've been buying our extra equipment. And as always, we have our assistance for firefighter grants through FEMA. We've been fortunate to be very successful in those. But there's no guarantees with that.
Right.
With a swipe of a pen, it goes away.
On the police side, one of the bigger things you see is the cruisers. And in years past, we haven't had the money, and so what we'd do is it'd be a 3-year lease. And so you would see that on the annual town warrant and, pay a year 2, year 3, year 1. We got away from that. And now we're on track to basically either do 1 and in some years 2 cruisers per year, depending upon what year it is and how they age. But that's been working out well. If that ends up stopping, all we're doing is putting ourselves into a hole on that end. Other things like in the past, like you say, a few at a time. We did 6 tasers at a time. And, until we refresh the whole department, and we haven't replaced those are, they're still making the ones we carry, but they've upgraded to several different models. So we're kind of lagging behind there. We do vests every 5 years. So things like that, they do come up. And the vests, they expire for the majority of the department all at once because we kind of all got on board at the same time at one point. So that's a little bit more of an expenditure. And that's actually going to come up in about a year from now. So we're going to be looking towards doing that. And then there's other upgrades that we could do. Certainly a CAD system, which is our computer dispatch system, is going to be needed to be upgraded at some point in the future. So we can hold off as long as we can, but it's an eventuality, not a wish list or anything like that. So, are there any questions?
No, I appreciate everything that you all do for us. I'm just saying that anywhere that we can amortize, even if it's just putting the money aside, we're not going to touch it for, like you said, we need the vests. If we were to put that money aside, then when the time comes, the money's there rather than, well, what do we not do this year, right? So again, where we can do that, I think we're always in the best piece, whether it's leasing, whether it's purchasing, whether it's putting money aside over time. We have to think about not just today, we have to think about what's going to be in 5 years or 10 years.
Something else?
I have another question. So, to the police, and maybe, I don't know about fire.
He's got the floor.
Hold on, he has the
Oh,
floor.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
I didn't know.
Oh, we had talked about this, taking X amount of money every year, putting it away for an engine, my beloved fire engine, the ladder, and taking X amount every year to build it up. Right now, when I first started asking for the engine, 2021 is the first year I came forward with the engine. The engine would have been $600,000 to $700,000. The price tag on that same fire truck now is 1.4. I've reached out to see if they have demos, which only gets it down to I hate to say it, only gets it down to $1 million. But we have to have, I agree 100%. I asked for these funds to be put into these. The next purchase of a ladder, which I believe is in, someone has the capital plan, 2030-ish, 32 maybe. That ladder right now is $2 million. That's for a pretty plain ladder truck.
It takes 4 years to deliver, correct, Chief?
If I was to order, I could order a fire truck this evening. I could order a fire truck this evening on a handshake and a letter of intent. We will not see that fire truck for 4 years.
But you lock in the price today rather than what it would be 4 years from now.
Right.
That's to take that fire truck.
Well, you have to find a place to put it too, yeah.
The salesman told me if we ran into financial hard times and we could not take delivery of that fire truck, they could sell it in about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Because everybody's waiting.
Yeah.
It's just to get in the queue. Because if we order it, say we wait till May town meeting, we can't order it till July, to a point. We're talking July of 31-ish. So just something to think about. 31. And our vests are coming up too. Unfortunately, they expire.
Safety's first.
Discussion about capital might circle back to some of the decisions we have to make about, like the Corthell building, Park Ave. If we were to sell one of the buildings, how it could help offset some of the capital, so.
Yeah, what I'm saying is just where we can move away from capital expenditures, we should. And again, it's what we do in our own personal lives, right? You want that new car. You don't hope that you're going to have the, whatever it is now, $60,000, $70,000 to buy. You put a few dollars aside every paycheck until you can at least put a good down payment on it. And that's what I'm suggesting here is let's look at ways that we can do that and start to implement those as policies for the long term here.
Thank you. It's a good recommendation. We should.
I didn't mean to cut either of you gentlemen. What I'm going to ask, I think it's maybe to Mary Beth and to all of you, is each department expected to bring in revenue?
No.
Because you're always short of revenue here. So what I'm trying to say, there's the property taxes for the residents, right? There's the excise tax and the meal tax. So how about some other businesses? Why can't we raise taxes? You're making a profit in business. They don't live here.
No.
But we're their customers. So why can't we tax them? We need the money.
Yeah,
Think about it. That's all I'm saying. Think about it, because the meal people, they could do it. Do you know what I mean? They're paying, what is it, 1%? I'm only talking maybe 2 or 3%. But the bottom line is, if we need these big ticket items,
I don't exactly follow, but I'd be happy to have a conversation, so if,
I
that's
mean,
all.
tax.
Yeah.
Anybody who's in business in this town,
Anybody who has a proposal, we'd certainly listen carefully and read about it. Sure. Thank you. And I think that's it, right?
Did you want to touch on the middle school bond? Or?
Oh, yeah, in the middle school bond.
Just quickly on the middle school bond, we're looking at a possible IMA, which is an intermunicipal agreement with the district and the town, which will enable the town to assume the borrowing for the Whitman Middle School building project. What this will do is capitalize on a better interest rate, which will translate to a lower debt cost to our taxpayers. And it will also ensure that the Whitman Middle School building project stays on track and moves forward. So currently, the district does not have their fiscal '24 audit. They also do not have a bond rating. So they had to go out to the market last time they wanted to borrow with no rating. And so that hurt as far as the interest rate is concerned when they went out to borrow for the $30 million ban. They haven't quite finalized the '23 audit as of last Monday. It was in draft, but Jeff confirmed that it wasn't completely finalized, and they had to finalize that before they start their '24 audit. Our financial advisor had said that that audit would need to be done by January 15th. Well, today's December 15th. And the first audit that they needed took 2 years. So while they have all the documents into CLA, Clifton Larson Allen, the auditor, once you have all your documents in, the auditor starts working on the audit, they always have more questions and always need more docs. That's just the process. So it doesn't seem realistic that the audit will be done in time for the district to have their audit complete and go out to the rating agency, Moody's or S&P, and get a rating reinstated. So rather than the school going out to ban again short-term note on anticipation notes to pay off the 30 million, that's not enough. They need another 30, 40 million to keep the project going. So it would be difficult, I'm sure. They could secure the funds for the 30 million for another year for a ban, but that would come at a higher interest rate than if the town were to borrow. The other thing is 30 million is not going to be enough. They need more to keep the project going, and so that's another issue. They probably could go out to the market and get a rate, but it would be cost the town and the taxpayers more money. So while I feel this is the best interest for the town to take over the borrow when we have a '24 audit, we currently have a very stable bond rating. And if people think, well, if we don't vote for this, then the school stops, well, you have to remember, there is a structure with 30 million that we are obligated to right now. The OPM and the architect have contracts. They certainly, that wouldn't go well there either. And the district probably would be able to still go out and secure funds, just at a much, much higher interest rate. So we're looking into that, to doing that.
So if we were to take that over, do we still include the school that didn't go out and get their credit in order prior? Are they still sitting on the board and now using our funds?
Oh, I'm sorry, say that
So we're
again.
taking on a bond, correct?
So we're already
They didn't get their,
obligated
right, I understand
to
that.
paying that, yeah.
But the school didn't get their audit in time, started a project, didn't get their funds in order, correct?
So they had a breach, and that's what, the reason they're saying,
We allow them to still sit when we get the money on with their board and whatnot, if the town's gonna be taking it over. What I'm saying is, like financially, how did they get to the point where that they aren't able to get the money to continue this project?
and they will be able to, I feel.
They
And
would be able to.
I think
right?
they will, at a cost, at a much higher interest
So we're
rate.
taking it on at a lower interest cost. So who then uses that money? We're gonna give it to them
Correct.
to continue?
So the way that bond counsel, and I have met with the MSBA, met with bond counsel, our financial advisors, Jeff and Beth and people from the district, and we've had a couple of meetings here. The way, and bond counsel said that this has been done before, that the town has taken over, because the original article has already been passed for the debt exclusion for $135 million.
I'm not concerned about
Yeah.
any of that. What I'm saying is, so they failed, so this project started in 2018, went out for what, original 7-8 million? Something like that, got the project rolling, got the plans, everything like that drawn up, now needed $30 million, right? That was the next
They paid off the first
short-term-
ban.
Short-term, right,
Correct.
used Peter to pay Paul. And now didn't get the paperwork in order in time to then be able to secure the next short-term loan.
Well, they're working towards that, and CLA said possibly by the
You know what I'm
end.
saying? It's like, you know that's coming, right?
Right.
So now we're gonna take on this debt, and then we're gonna give these them the money that we are gonna take on and say, here, you guys can now take that
We have
money.
debt no matter what.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is, why would we give our money, the money that we now have to take on as our debt, to someone who possibly is not running with the money properly?
Well,
Or isn't able to get their own funds?
And so the project itself is being run by the middle school building committee, which I sit on, Kathleen sits on, Mary Beth sits on. So there is a fairly high town representation on that
Okay.
committee. That this issue came up probably a year ago there initially, and just now that it seems like they actually aren't going to get their bond rating in time, it's being put to test.
Yeah, for sure.
So it was a year.
I think that this is the only reasonable way forward, frankly. And I think it might be helpful at town meeting if we have some way of comparing, if we don't do this, here's your cost, and if we do this, here's your cost. I think that would be the most beneficial way to present it to the town so that it is clear the benefit that this will serve the town is actually a great benefit.
And that's correct. And we won't know that until we get our Moody's rating again. And if it remains as it has been for many years, I was the treasurer collector for 19 years, and we've had a constant rating. And we have had a very stable, good rating because we have, reserves. We have a healthy stabilization fund. We pay towards our OPEB. Things that other towns don't necessarily do. So yes, at that point, we will do a comparison so I think that the original ban was estimated to come in at 4%, and the ban ended up coming in at 5.5%. So the school really wanted to bond the money, which is long-term debt, and that would have included an interest payment and a principal payment. However, what we're paying now in February is 1.230 million, which is just interest at a 5.5 million. And people said to me, well, Mary Beth, you had 1.4 when it was a bond, so really this is great. It came in 200,000 less. I'm like, no, the 1.4 had an interest and a principal component. The ban is all interest, and it wasn't even interest for a year. It was like a 9-10 month interest. So I truly feel that this is in the best interest of the residents, the taxpayers of Whitman, because it will translate into a lower cost long-term for this debt.
And it helps our, our rating and everything like that goes to the town's personal Moody's rating, right? If we took on the bond and paid off.
No, not that helps your bond rating, taking on more debt, no. But they'll base their rating on our credentials instead of theirs. We have an audit for 24, they don't. We have healthier reserves because we've made hard decisions, So they'll look at the two and, that will result in going out to the market, to the open market, where there are bidders that want to buy the bonds. So when they did go out to for a bond, they couldn't, so they went for a ban, and actually nobody bid. They had to do what's called a negotiated sale and seek out one of the parties that had expressed an interest. And Oppenheimer did buy the ban, but at a higher rate. I just don't want to see that happen again at an even higher rate, because it translates into more money to the taxpayer.
It seems like a good collaborative, to me, solution. It seems like there's some real pros, and the cons are really pretty minimal.
I'm for it. I'm not saying I'm against it. No. That's not.
Any follow-up questions, though, please reach out, because we'd be happy to get you any information you need to deliberate with your board about it.
Just briefly, I want to acknowledge and thank Mary Beth for being proactive on this, because this didn't happen overnight. She's been worried about this for several months. She and I talk on a regular basis, and we've had telephone forums, Teams meetings. This is a process that was going to take a long time to get in place, and if she hadn't started it when she did, we'd be in real trouble.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
do want to say that if we miss this opportunity, and this is just working out so well that we happen to have a special town meeting coming up where we can get it on the warrant in time. If we didn't do that and the warrant was closed, and we find out in mid-January, oh my goodness, there's no way they're going to get their audit in time. We now have to call for a special town meeting, and that would have put us out. The due date, the maturity date on the $30 million ban is February 18th. There is no way we could have called a special town meeting, had the vote, gone out and borrowed, secured the funds to pay on the maturity date on February 18th. So if we don't do this now, I think that, yes, it will go forward with borrowing, and it will be borrowed at, I don't know what rate, but it will be significantly higher. So I think we need to seize the opportunity while we can.
And to add to what Kevin, sorry, just to add to what Kevin was saying too, is it's not just this one-time payment, right? If we do nothing and leave it like it is and they continue to go through the ban process, which is going to be at higher rates, the way that they're moving on that school, we're going to have a considerably larger cost to build that school than what we talked about when we actually put it to the town in the first place. So this is just a little piece. We're catching it before it's getting worse. But if we don't do it as you're suggesting, people are not going to be happy with it.
I'd like to see us go right to bond, I'll be honest with you. Lock it in now. Don't keep the ban going. Ryan?
I'll just say, I know that the building committee is meeting tomorrow.
Yes.
I believe that they're going to be having a vote to accept the intermunicipal agreement. On Wednesday night, our school committee this is also on the agenda for us to vote to enter into the intermunicipal agreement with the town.
So I was hoping, and we'll get to that later, that we could actually vote at the board level this evening on the IMA. However, I did get an email late today, right before 4 o'clock, from Rick Manley, who spoke with the DOR today, and he said that they may want some tweaks to the IMA. So that probably could be in time, that I can still get it to you, but I don't feel comfortable with the board voting this evening until I see the changes from the DOR. But I still think no matter what, even if we had to have a unexpected meeting to approve the IMA in the next.
To put it on the special town meeting warrant?
I already have it on the special town meeting warrant, but to have the board approve it, because both the school committee and the select board need to approve it, we may have to have an off-schedule meeting, if necessary, to
edit it?
To approve the final IMA.
Yep, okay.
We're on
Okay.
it, definitely on it.
Definitely on it.
So,
Kimball?
Yeah, just a quick question. I think, Mary Beth, that's great what you're doing. When we borrow this money, we're gonna keep the money in Whitman and only pay to the school department when they have to make a payment to the contractors. So we have that capital or that pot of money making interest for us, and we have complete control over it.
That was my hope. However, one of the changes said that when we receive from MSBA, when we receive the funds, we need to turn the funds over within 5 days. So then that leads me to believe that we're not going to earn the interest that I was hoping we would earn. However, with the DOR today, the DOR, one of the suggested changes and tweaks that they want to see made is that we want to keep everything the same as far as the contract with the OPM, the contract with the architect, the filings for the grant reimbursements will still be done. We don't want to change all that, or the MSBA agreement. We don't want to go back and open all that up and change all that. However, the DOR is, I think, looking for a change that we will release the money only after the building committee and everything is voted to pay invoices. And of course, I want checks and balances in place anyway. Even if we have to turn the money over within 5 days, I want our accountant's office and their office to have constant checks and balances along the way until the funds are completely expended. So those are the tweaks and changes that I hopefully will see tomorrow. Okay?
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Any other feedback on the presentation or stuff that you'd like to see moving forward?
okay, we're still having our meeting with the finance committee? Are we,
I guess.
that's it? We done?
I have a question to be considered in the future, like the near future. Going into town meeting this past year, we only had one plan, and that was a budget contingent on an override passing. Then we had to work very quickly to come up with a budget that was balanced, that cut whatever, 1.2 million. What are we going to do in fiscal 27 for town meeting? Are we going to go in with one budget, or are we going to go in with two budgets? And you don't have to answer it tonight, but in the near future, I think we have to be on the same page.
Right.
I agree. 2 years ago, we went in with 2 scenarios, and people thought that was very confusing. So last year, we did not. So it is something that we all need to think about and how we want to proceed, this year going forward. Unfortunately, with the schools, I think that they usually get their final number to us like in March. And then the whole budget needs to be reworked depending on the number. I want things to the finance committee sooner so that your recommendations aren't just your final ones being done the night of town meeting or the week before. So I'm all about this year getting that earlier as well. So I did send all of you the special town meeting warrant, or I sent it to Mike and Kathy so that you can look at that, and hopefully we'll vote that at the board level this evening.
Maybe we could do some research and put out like some options, so you guys could do some reading about the options and we could do some reading about the options, and then we could deliberate whether together or whatnot, so we make a decision. I think that'd be, because one of the things, we thought we were doing a good thing, but then after it failed, there was like 2 weeks to prepare,
Right.
We obviously had an idea about the contingency, but that's one of the major tensions that I think that we felt with public safety versus town wasn't really proposed until that next step, and that hurt us, so.
I don't think, I'm going to speak for you a little bit there. I don't think what Kathleen was saying that necessarily how you present it, but at least have the plan, right? So even if you present one town hall, you have another one in case that doesn't fail, so that we don't do the Aztec two-step for a week and a half to try and come back in. We already, all right, this is our fallback here, kind of thing. But yeah, I think that's a good suggestion. Okay.
Okay,
Very good.
let's go on to review and act on the January 12th, 2026 special town meeting warrant.
Okay. Yes. So, yeah, to that information. So I had sent out a draft warrant over the weekend. And then today, I sent out a final warrant, and the only changes, I did have the IMA, the intermunicipal language, in the warrant, and I had that in there just for reference only for the voters. But I took that out because it does not need to be in the warrant. I can always have that printed as a supplemental document the evening of special town meeting. And the only other change really that I made here was I added an article and renumbered them, but I added an article, it's now article number 6, and it's the library emergency repair, and that was proposed by the facilities director. So there was an emergency repair that needed to be done at the library with the boilers and the air handler unit, and that was $7,374.29. And it's the new Article 6.
Right.
And Todd DeCudo, knows he doesn't have that money in his budget for this year. So he is proposing that we use remaining funds in an article that was voted May 1st of 2023. It was Article 27. And he wants to transfer the amount he needs from that older article to his expense furnishings and equipment fiscal 26 line. So he got that into me today. And we had said when we opened the warrant at the last meeting that we would close it today. So I can just quickly check, but see if anything else came in tonight, but I don't believe so. So I have sent this off to town council to be reviewed. The prior year bills, that's something we always do. The cable access account, we always pay out whatever money's in there for Article 3. And then we have the public safety adjustment article,
Right.
which Sean just reviewed. And then the article in motion for the IMA, or for the town to take over the borrowing. That's not changing.
That's not going to be in it. That's
The motion and article will be in it.
Article 5.
Article 5 will stay. That's the article in the motion. What I removed was the full actual intermunicipal agreement that I originally had in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
This amends our vote from 2023 that authorized the district to borrow this money.
Oh,
It's
okay.
now changing it to authorize the town to borrow this money.
Okay, so Article 5 stays in.
Stays. right? And then we have the collective bargaining agreement articles.
Yep.
The fire union has settled, so it's an article to ratify
Yep.
their contract. We'll insert, right now it says sum of money, but we'll insert that amount on the floor.
And the Article 8?
And Article 8 is police. They have not settled. We're still in negotiations, but there's a chance they could settle before January 12th. So I thought, why not put it on anyway?
right.
And we'll pass over it if we don't need it.
Okay.
And Article 9 is the citizens petition, just as it was written.
Right.
And that is simply, it's an article to see if the town will vote to recommend to name the new Whitman Middle School building being constructed.
Well, it's got to be clear that they're recommending to the school department to name the building. That the vote.
The process is outlined on what needs to happen.
Pardon?
Process is outlined on what needs to happen at the school. Two departments that I need to go to the,
Yeah, it's got to be clear, though, that
it's a recommend.
yeah.
Well, maybe on the floor, you could just speak to
recommending
it.
to whom would be good to say. Because the people that are voting are going to be thinking that they're voting to name the school after Fred.
It'll be clear.
Voting to recommend that
It'll
the
be
school
cl-
be named.
It'll be clear on who has the
Authority.
final say authority, because it's a school committee.
Yeah,
Has the authority.
yeah, that's got to be clear in the petition, I think.
The petition is signed, so.
What we could do is add, you know how many of our articles then have a comment?
Explainer.
Just
Yeah.
a little explanation,
Yeah.
comment. So if you want to approve this evening pending council's review and just an explanation,
Yeah.
which you and I could just, word it the way that you were instructed as an
Yeah, I
explanation.
just want to be, the town meeting is not naming the school. We just got to be clear on that they're recommending to the school
Recommending to the
department.
school committee that
Yeah, right,
that the
school committee.
town meeting would like it named this way.
Right.
Just a question on that article. So I assume you got enough signatures turned in, certified. Perfect. Okay.
Certified.
Thank you.
Okay, is there a motion to,
Can I ask one thing? Was there any question about that?
about what?
About dedicating the school to someone who, may rest in peace, spearheaded that school, and it was a close vote. I was in rehab and I voted.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, the way you put that, it makes it sound as if there'd be a question. I'd like to know if there's a question.
The town does not have the authority to name a school after somebody.
Yeah,
The
just
school
trying to do it-
department
yeah.
has the authority.
Just trying to do it properly, that's all. Not
Name the other schools. Can I just ask that?
School committee.
School committee did.
School committee.
Really, they have way too much power.
Pardon?
They have way too much power. You have teachers on it with a conflict of interest. I'm only going, and they, no, conflict of interest. And the next thing is, well, if you're a teacher, you're on the board? Not when I heard they hired Mr. Simonak and they okayed his contract.
What's that, you're out of order. That doesn't have anything to do with what we're talking about.
Okay, I'm always out.
It doesn't. Please. And I know you're from New York and you like to speak, but that's okay.
New York.
From New York. You should really go to school committee meetings. I'd love to hear you talk to them.
Why?
Why?
Any committee-
Because you ask solid questions.
Because you ask questions that the school committee should hear.
We have a member of the school committee here.
Yeah, one member. They should all hear you.
Dawn resigned. I don't want to say, really, it's ridiculous. That's all I'm going to say. There are teachers on it, and you're right. I'm from New York, proud of it. The next thing is the nepotism here alone. You're in trouble, and look to your own. Look inside.
Yeah. Yes, sure.
And you can't tax people, by the way.
Are you looking for a motion to adjourn?
No, look at
No,
that.
that's a motion to
It's not
adjourn.
an exception.
No.
Definitely to accept the,
No,
We have to set the schedule. We have to set the schedule. We got to set the
Are
schedule.
we supposed to vote on something?
yeah, let's,
Yes, the warrant.
Yeah, we
You
need
know,
to vote on it.
I'm going to agree with you on something, though. There's more than, when you were talking about the schools, and we're talking about the budget, there's more than just the percentage of the budget that we need to deal with. I'm talking to you, John, too. It's how the money is spent. It's not that's a percentage. It's how it's spent.
I agree.
And you have to cut your budget. Do you cut teachers first?
No,
Cut people in the classroom first?
no.
Or do you maybe look at your managers?
The top, just like Mr. Rosen said Monday morning. He got up, he said, I was gonna ask him, I didn't have to. He got up at the school, and he got up right here, because he was a former.
I know, and now we're having a discussion that we shouldn't be having because we're talking about this. So I'm violating my own rules, but that's okay. That's okay if I violate my own rules. Where were we?
Yeah, vote on that.
On the special town meeting warrant.
Yeah.
So motion to
Do
accept.
we have a
the
motion
town
to accept this
So moved.
with amendments?
Second.
Whatever.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so it's going to be subject to
Subject to
Amendments.
adding the explanation and town council's
Yeah.
review.
right.
Perfect.
Right.
Perfect. That's great.
Okay, so that we took care of that. Set meeting schedule. When do you all want to meet again?
Meet the Tuesday the 30th? December 30th?
December 30th.
You have 3 meetings in the month?
Well, that's 2 weeks from now.
I don't mind, I'm just asking.
Town meetings when?
The 12th, 30th.
Okay,
And we
30th,
can-
December 30th.
30th and the 12th?
What?
The 30th and the
30th and the
12th before the town
30th
meeting?
and the 12th? All right.
I don't know if I can make the 30th. But it doesn't mean you can't have a meeting.
Okay.
Well, you want to go? It's Tuesday the
And
6th.
we would be waiting for information about a Zoom meeting to approve.
To the 6th? First
If
week in,
needed.
first week in January?
We could be,
Can't make that
To
one?
sign the IMA.
You want to do the first week in January, the 6th? I don't know,
We can do December 30th.
The 30th. We
The
could still do
30th.
it. We could still do the
30th?
IMA on the.
We could do the IMA that day as well.
on the 30th?
30th and 12th.
yeah.
Okay. We dealt with the Corthell building.
Yep.
We're gonna look to see how much we can get for it if we sell it, and we're gonna do what Sean asked us to do about,
What does it cost to bring it up to code to lease, and then
Yeah.
what would a potential lease look
Yeah.
like?
town administrators report.
Okay, just quickly,
Basically, you've gone over this already, haven't you?
I really have. MSBA required a few documents, a letter from bond counsel, which was sent, written confirmation from local counsel confirming that there's no conflict between the IMA and the regional agreement. The counsel for the district said that they're fine with it. And today I got a call from Peter, I should have something in writing tomorrow, that they don't see a conflict either. And then a copy of the proposed municipal agreement, which is still going to be updated, so I'll get a final to them. And then the draft language, which I've already sent the motion, the article and the motion. So I think the school committee is prepared to vote on this and the building committee. And then we just need to vote it and then go to town meeting.
Okay.
Okay?
Is something we don't need to sign this, do we?
Yes. I'd like you to sign 2 copies, please.
Okay.
Are we meeting on the,
30th and the 12th.
yeah, I know the 12th, but I'm thinking,
And I have to have the posted warrant done to the clerk by the 29th.
Is
So
the special on the 12th, or did we change that?
the special is on January 12th.
Okay, so what we before?
We'd meet right before with no camera over here, but we'll meet right before. Dan, your question?
okay, so I'm saying what time?
Is there a motion to adjourn coming up pretty soon?
Motion. I made that motion.
You did?
Yeah.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're gone.
So we meet on the 12th?